Charlie Stevens here. Thanks again for joining me here on my guitar channel. We recently learned how to play the first part of Jingle Bells, the chorus part, and I wanted to also show you how to play the verse as well. So the verse uses our third string, our G string, which we've recently learned about on this channel. If you haven't been following along with those, you can check out the basic guitar lesson playlist, and all of the lessons are ordered on there. And we had learned the first string, high E, we had learned the second string, the B, and we have also learned the third string, the G string. Okay, so this is a little song that uses just those three strings. Mostly the notes we've learned on them. We'll actually need one extra little bonus note on the high E that we'll learn. But I'll show you that when we get there. For now, let's just play the melody. So again, I did sort of a finger style arrangement, but today we're just going to learn the very basic melody. Okay, it's going to go a little something like this. Okay, did you catch that? I had to slide up here. So that's the new note on the E string that I was mentioning. A little bit of a challenge to shift out of position. All so far we've been in position in kind of one area of the neck, but this will bring us into what we call a different position because it's a little bit higher up the neck. Okay, so let's just get into it and we'll learn how to play the tune. So we start on our open G string, and then we go to our open E string. Then the note D, which is here on the third fret of B, and the note C, which is on the first fret of that same second string. Okay, so that's the whole first measure. And then the second measure is just an open G for the whole measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole note there. In the third measure, it starts on this G again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's exactly the same as the first measure. G, E, D, C. But this time it lands in a different spot. Instead of the open G we had a minute ago, we'll land on the second fret of that string, the note A. Okay, so from the third measure, sounds like this, into the fourth measure right there, whole note on A. Okay, the fifth measure starts on that A. Okay, kind of a sequence, similar to what we had before, but now everything is a little bit higher. Okay, so we have A, and we jump to F here on the first fret of high E, open high E, D on the third fret of B, and then the open B string. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we get to the seventh measure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so that's 2 G's on the high E. 1, 2. F on the third beat on the first fret. Okay, then we go to the B string here, third fret for this note D. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we come back to the high E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's kind of like the first half of this melody. Now we repeat basically, sort of like the first measure again. G, E, D, C, G. Exactly the same as in the beginning, okay? And then we start on the G again. A. Same thing as in the beginning. Again, the second phrase ended on the A. Okay? Starting on the A. We saw that part before too. A, F, E, D. Same as what happened earlier. Now is where it gets a little different. We go to this string. 1. Okay? All G's there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's where the new note comes in. This is the note A on the first measure of measure 15. The first beat of measure 15, that is a note A. It's a higher A than this one we've learned. different A, right? So this one is actually written above the treble clef, and that's called a ledger line. So we ran out of lines. Really, this system would just keep going and going. There'd be lines and spaces for forever, but it would be really hard to read that if you just looked at like a whole grid of just a zillion lines. So what they do is we have this system of our 5 lines we've learned about, and if we need any more, we'll write them in as needed. So in this case, we went even higher than the lines would allow, up to the note A, and we had to write an extra little ledger line in. Just remember, just the top line is F, just as a quick review. Right above that is G, so right above that would be A. So we didn't have anything above that, so we wrote in this little ledger line. So that's how we're knowing this is A here. Okay, so that's on the 5th fret of E, which you might know from our tuning video, because we learned this E string, and we learned that if you played the 5th fret, that was going to match your A string, because that's the note A. Well, if it's an A on the 5th fret of this E string, that means an A is on the 5th fret of this E string. Okay, so useful note to know about here. A is on the 5th fret of our E string, regardless of which E string. Okay, so we're going to do what's called a position shift here. So I'm going to use the same finger. There are other ways to do this, but I think this is the simplest way for now. We're going to use our 3rd finger to play all these G notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to use the same finger, slide up. Excuse me, I meant to say shift up. So a slide is actually where we'd hear the note. You actually could do that. Slide up and back. That's kind of a cool idea. I'll let you experiment with that. That would be part of your interpretation, okay? But really, that would sort of be an intentional choice. So what I'll do is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll shift. You don't hear me slide, but I use the same finger to play this A. And then I shift back. Again, you don't hear me slide. I'm sort of releasing the pressure and just moving my hand down there. Back to G, okay, as opposed to letting you hear it. That's a slide. That was more of a shift, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, up to here. 2, back to G. And then we go to the 1st fret, F. And then we change to the 2nd string, play the 3rd fret for the note D. And then C on the 1st fret of B. And that's it. That's the verse part. And then it would go back into the chorus. Okay? So, fun little song. Gives us a little bit of practice reading the music here for the first 3 strings. We also get to learn a new note for this song. Very useful note here, A. Tie that into our learning of the A over here. Now we have 2 ways to remember that A is on the 5th fret of E, right? Ha 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 ha. So hopefully you enjoyed that lesson, and if you're enjoying this course, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Thanks a lot.